That was it.
Yeah, so they project and have body points.
Watch out for the Uber ride.
He's not real good, I know he's real busy, so he's not real good about quick response on but I know he gets it, and I'm not really busy, so. That would be a dream if we could do that. When Fran is going to be a ne'er-do-well in the States. Temperance tickles.
Yes. Recently, I got called about it's the worst.
Thank you. Just for thinking of this as a board.
Everybody
We transcribed all the scripts, you know. They're all in Word files. And we scanned the old pictures, mostly of Phoebe's house. So that there's high res. So actually, that file is too big.
You can bring your files.
I have a board council board. So we're trying to get ahead of it. Now, here we are, it's August, so we're doing good. We're getting the
Can you believe it?
I know.
I did give Laura the transcription, so she has it.
Great, great, thank you. I didn't see the agenda.
Yes. I actually messaged my kid's preschool teacher, and I was like, I'm ready for them to come back down. They were like, no, not yet. It's okay. You can keep them a little longer.
How are you,
And I
Katie?
hope this is okay with you.
Oh, yeah. You guys ever keep it?
Not even a project.
First morning.
Hey, Kevin, how are you? No, I don't. I'm just like having Teresa gave me some info on the land bank thing. It's fine. Still, well, it was only maybe for a couple of weeks, but really wasn't too bad altogether. But I appreciated you sharing like that. Me too, because at that moment, I needed that. Like, honestly, I've never measured myself before like this, so it was appreciated.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let there be light.
Lord, as we gather this day to keep the important business for the people of the village of VOO, grant wisdom, compassion, and understanding. Amen.
All right, so first item is public comment. Anybody have anything?
Meeting Bixby, 244 Main Street. Hi, guys. I just wanted to make a few comments about Main Street grant applications that you might be hearing in the future. And some thoughts that I had about the previous meeting. And I just kind of wanted to maybe put something in perspective for you about the application process. These Main Street grant projects are taxpayer money that is going into helping individual property owners, private property owners, rehabilitate their places, business and living quarters up above on main streets across the state. The object of this is to reinvigorate business and the life of a downtown historic district and a lot of the little small communities and even larger communities like Syracuse and Albany, Schenectady, places like that. We're in competition with these places in order to get this grant money. And there's nobody in the room that really wants these grants to succeed. I think we all are in agreement about that. These private property owners receive this grant money and they don't have to pay it back, except through following the guidelines that are laid down by the State Historic Office of Preservation and the Secretary of the Interior guidelines. In other words, we, the taxpayers, give our fellow community members, give them these grants for their private properties to develop them so that it'll help our own community, which we all live in together, bring jobs in, construction jobs, bring businesses, reopen the downtown storefronts, and also we know the other key element is bringing to life the upstairs, having people living in downtown. All of this is a recipe for success that has been well documented. The only way that the recipients of these grants need to respond to the people, us taxpayers, is by following a few guidelines about the restoration of the outside of the buildings that are seen from the street and the sidewalks. It means about the signage and the glass on the windows, and it means how they treat the exterior if they're going to be renovating or replacing certain things. But it's supposed to be done in a particular way. SHPO is not really that concerned about the interior at all of the buildings unless it's some sort of historic building like the courthouse or something like that. Then they would come in and take a look and make sure like you didn't tear up a building that's open to the public like that. So when you get an application about windows and you give a pass to an applicant about not abiding by the guidelines, you're not doing the applicant a favor and you're actually disrespecting the taxpayers. Because this is going to get pushed back by SHPO, back again to us. They won't approve it. Brittany said it at the last meeting. And what happens in the long run, and this is the reason I'm talking tonight, I'm not talking about digging up a past approval. If we want to be in line to get grants to develop our village for the future, in particular North Avenue grants, we have to show at the local level that we are managing these grants properly and that we're abiding by the guidelines and obeying the rules. At worst, SHPO can, even though they've approved a grant, they can cut it off. I hope that they won't do that, but they certainly can sideline it and then delay the grantee's project, even though he's got his construction guys in the driveway ready to go. So it's important for you to know what the guidelines are. It's important for you to follow this, not just for the application that is in front of you, but for every single application that is going to come down the pike. And there are some really big grants that we are applying for in the future, millions of dollars. North Avenue is a big project. It is a gateway to this village. People drive into this village every day, and it doesn't give the most favorable impression. And that we have an opportunity to help property owners change that. So I would just try to give you that perspective, and I would also ask you in the future, when you have something that's over $200,000 of taxpayer money, that you spend a little bit more than 10 minutes on it, just asking a few questions about windows. There was a lot of work that was done by Brittany Woodburn and the rest of the people from the Development Council, and very professional, and they were not given an opportunity to present it. And I think that we as taxpayers, and you, to show that you are following the best business guidelines, need to give those kinds of grants the dignity of that kind of review. So I think that's about it. I think that's all I wanted to say about that. Because you are going to have another big chunk of this coming down, which is over $600,000. And I would hope that you would manage that application a little differently than the application from last year.
Anybody else? Okay. So we'll move on. Next topic is Kevin.
Yes, I'm here to ask the board to approve for the mayor to enter into the community rating system. I put a flyer on your desk there. The community rating system is a program of the National Flood Insurance Program, which we in the village pay around, let me see, around $670,000 in flood insurance premiums. If you join the CRS community rating system, you can save minimum of 5% up to 45%. Now 45 is difficult to attain. However, I think it's a goal for a village like this where as many people in the village, including municipalities, schools, churches, have to pay flood insurance. They'd all be saving about 5% right out of the gate, and every year you can increase it to another 5%, by 5% increments if you do what they want you to do. Most of what they want you to do right now for a 5% we're already doing is keeping track of the elevation certificates, it's answering people's questions when they call about flood information, it's handing out booklets that they give you out the kazoo, you get a lot of credits for, and that's like just so easy. And so I think it would be good for the village to, first of all, write a couple of letters to CRS people to say that we want to enter it. I didn't approach the board before because we didn't have a code enforcement officer. We need one to participate in it. We need a CRS coordinator, and I'm willing to do that at least for the first year and help whoever's working on it accelerate it. I've been to 2 state floodplain management conferences. They're very, very informative. I don't want to be a floodplain manager myself, but I think it would be good for somebody in the county to be looking at that. And I have copies of the letters that I'll send to your office in the morning if the board votes to approve going forward with it. And if anybody has any questions, let me know. There's a lot of material on it. I don't want to take up a lot of time just in case you don't want a lot of time taken up by it. But if you're interested in more information, get a hold of me or email me, please. Does anybody have any questions on the board?
Yes, I do, Kevin. Thanks for this information. I'm kind of sympathetic to it. Is the code enforcer getting seen this information yet? No. That's really my only question. Thank you.
Is he what? The foot?
Has he seen the
Has
information?
he seen the information?
Oh, no, I have not met him. I'll be coming down sometime when the weather breaks.
Thank you.
But not in the fall. No, I want to push it forward. And the other thing, I just want to mention one more thing. The big hurdle we need is to get somebody from FEMA or DEC to do what's called a community assistance visit, where they go through our adherence to the floodplain management law that's on our books. If there's things that need to be remediated, they say fix them. And then we'll fix them, and then we'll prove that we fixed them, and then we'll be getting into the system. I think going forward, flood insurance is going to be going up, and 5% of it, or 10%, is going to make a big difference for a lot of people. Thank you. I got some handouts here. I'll put them over on this table. There's some over here already. I mean, a lot of it may be redundant to a lot of board members, but for people that aren't familiar with it, it's a lot of good information.
Thanks, Kevin.
Well,
This is my opinion, recommendation. I would like to code enforce it, just at least read the essential stuff and have a little homework out, make a couple calls to the 800 numbers. I'd like to, why would you do that? I mean, maybe go out and steal or something, but I'd like him to at least look at the information first and get the money, look, because it's pretty big stuff, as Jeff knows. And I don't know if you think that we can get it from him, but at least let's have it for the secretary. Just my opinion.
Seems logical.
I'll meet with them tomorrow morning. I mean,
Wednesday morning.
Wednesday? Alright,
Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays. Nobody works.
alright.
So, Kevin, are you saying that the board has to put in a request to be?
The mayor, the chief executive officer has to write a letter signed by him, and it's a form letter, so we don't have to make up English literature here, you know. And I think that he probably should get board approval. If you want to make board approval contingent on the code enforcement officer being just, you know, informed, that's fine with me. That way I don't have to come back to another meeting.
I mean, we initially started this back when Kevin was mayor. And we had kind of a CAB meeting and we never got the report that we were supposed to get back. So it all just kind of fell away. So we are gonna need to make another request. And I'll go over stuff with Chuck too.
Just so the board knows, my understanding, this is just a letter saying, hey, we're interested, and that kind of kicks the process off. Insofar as there's anything else that needs to be adopted, I think that would be identified in the application process. And then it would be up to the board to ensure that the village implements whatever else that needs to be done. But there's, like you said tonight, oh yeah, let's send a letter expressing interest in it. That is literally just that, it's just a letter about interest. It's not like a final commitment.
Oh, I thought the request was.
Yeah, it's just a letter initially.
Yeah, it's a letter of interest.
Okay, well, I think motion
Once we
that
start
the
doing,
mayor
we
sends.
do what's called a check.
Yeah, I get it.
Figure that out, we send it in. And I know Kevin knows, there's some 13, like FEMA calls 13, 16s in the village that have to be remediated if they're even gonna do some, but that's what the CAB report does, flags out all those things. So, something that we,
I'd like to make a motion that the mayor send this letter of interest in and I think it's all.
do a second?
I'll second it.
Vote. Okay, next on the agenda is request for zoning change from R2 to R3, 19 acres, max map 128.16-1-5. I have to apologize for not emailing everything out to people, but our email didn't work until today, so. It's basically 19 acres that runs between Montrose Ave and the Halsted track. Right now it's zoned R2, developer would like it to be R3, so that they can put in some multi-family structures. All you guys really have to do tonight is take it to the planning board.
Jeff, is this associated with the Antelope Mountain project?
No, that's a separate one, yeah.
Jeff, I think this is the one that you and I talked about, right? That they aren't yet in a position to say exactly what they're looking to do.
I've got a general plan. It all hinges on it getting rezoned, so, they haven't done a site, they haven't submitted a site plan application or not, or as of yet.
Doesn't there need to be that site plan application for the zoning board to look at it?
Eventually, but first, if you guys want to consider zoning change, tonight you would vote to send it to the planning board for them to make their recommendation. Then it comes back to the board, and then you guys actually say yes or no. Pardon me? If you look at the zoning map, south of the river, that big green spot is R3.
Skateboard's revenge.
Oh.
This is the 19 acres they're talking about. It's R2.
Oh, the yellow.
They want to change it to R3, the same as what's across the road on Montrose Ave. So,
Now, what's the difference between the two?
R3 would be multifamily.
R2 is single family?
R2 is two families or one family.
So presumably some sort of yeah,
Thing they're looking at like three or four townhouses.
Are they currently the owner of the property?
No.
So they're looking at a rezone before they purchase it? Is that the idea?
Actually, it's the owners of the property that are asking for the rezoning. The developer doesn't own it right now, but the owner is asking for it to be rezoned.
Noble landlord.
Yeah.
So given it's the property owner who's asking it to be rezoned, so at this point you just need to accept the application and then refer it to the planning board for an advisory opinion, and then my office will put together a draft local law. It's pretty simple, it's just rezoning, we've done that a bunch of times. So that, depending on what the planning board's advisory opinion is and what you folks want to do, maybe in the August meeting, or in August, in a September meeting, you'd be able to take action if that was what you wanted to do. And again, it's just a rezone, not for a specific project, it still has to apply for the actual project.
All to do with subdivision, site plan review.
So we need a motion to accept.
I make a motion to pick the planning board.
Wait a second. Second. Any other vote?
Yes.
And yes.
Again, I'm sorry for not emailing this today, but
That's good.
expect them. No wonder they're getting kicked out.
All right, our next thing is Susan Kane, Stephen, got to butcher this, 1 mile run / walk. Informal event planned for September 14th, 6:30 to 7. Make a button?
Yeah, they're not really requesting any police help or anything, they just want to bring their board up, know that they're doing, they usually do it all the time at the flats, when the farmhouse was at the flats. They walk, it's kind of a walk, one thing, and they end up back. They just want you to know if you see some, like 40, 50 people, doing an informal run, they're gonna go down like Front Street, Main Street, back to Lake Shore.
Did they need traffic control?
No, they said they don't. They actually had some volunteers. Just some information on that.
They do it on the street or on the side?
Sidewalks.
Yeah, it says no road closings.
And it's not a timed event, they just go out.
I don't know. It's on the side.
If it's curling on the sidewalk, just get the information on it.
Yeah, just so if somebody has.
So everybody knows what's going on. All right, that's September 14th.
6:30 to
6:30 at night. Starts at the Farmhouse Brewery. in case anyone else would like.
Probably ends at the
It says it does.
I'll meet you at Bending.
All right, next item, Friends of Evergreen Cemetery, the stained glass, the Evergreen on-free check. You want to talk about it, Peter?
Peter Gordon, Village President. We want to sort of start to activate the Friends as a fundraiser for a targeted project. We got estimates from Sandy Rusak and Amazing Glass to repair the stained glass windows and put new Lexan. It's about $8,000. So we're, I don't think anybody's seen the inside of the mortuary in a while. And it's actually a beautiful place. It's small, but so we thought just to announce that we'd like someone. We don't really want people walking too much around the edges because it's, but they can see pretty well if we have an area this big roped off, and they can. It's got beautiful vaulted arches, and I think it's cedar paneling around the sides, and the windows are lovely from the inside. So, and I asked Amazing Glass and Ward and Vanscoy if people can park there. It's a Sunday, and they said fine. And so we'll put signs at the edge to say park here, and it's kind of a bad walk, along the edge there. But I don't know what we can do to make it easier. But there probably won't be that many people. So we're asking permission to hold this event.
So people would be going inside?
A little bit. I'm thinking we would rope off a space about this size, and they can look. It's not such a. The place is not as big as this, I don't think. So you can see the windows well from the area. And you don't want them back in actually mortuary area. They can see that from.
Is this replacing windows that are already there?
No, it's repairing the windows. They've been shot out by pellets. And, Sandy Rusak had the glass shop down on Front Street. And Jeff gave us the keys, and we went in and evaluated the glass. And she has glass that can replace that. She repaired the glass on the Baptist Church, on St. Patrick's, on Marathon Library. She's one of the go-to restorers in the area. And I'm not sure, I don't think we have to bid this, and correct me if I'm wrong, if the Friends pays for it rather than the village. I'm not sure it would have to be bid out. Even if we did.
Yeah.
It was under 20,000.
Anything that's owned by the village and gets repaired has to be bid out and put on.
Regardless of who's paying for it?
Regardless of.
Well,
Unfortunately.
we'll still at least take Sandy's estimate as a target, and there probably aren't that many
I mean, if it's a
restorers.
specialty thing, and there is a way around prevailing wage. If you're the only person in the company, there's a way around it. I mean, if she doesn't have any employees, and she's the only one, there is a way prevailing wage.
Right, but so the biggest, the big idea though is you still need to follow the village's procurement process. So
Yes, we
it's
opened it
If it's below a certain dollar value, then it's typically just, you know, you get a couple quotes type of thing.
Right.
So in this case, you ask her or ask whomever, and then it's kind of at one point on them to make sure that they're paying prevailing wage. I mean, she needs to bid enough to
For
cover.
the moment, we're just gonna see
Right.
how much
Yeah.
money we can get, and then we'll worry about, we'll be in your capable hands.
Everything.
So I guess, do we just need a motion to approve the event?
So I was just talking with Jeff, it doesn't sound like we have any particular event application for use of the chapel or the mortuary, right? I mean,
We really call it chapel or mortuary, but what we use it for is to store bodies in the winter until we can actually bury them. So, although it is a chapel and a mortuary, I don't think it's been used as a chapel. Well, I've been here 25 years and it's still good. But, yeah,
It could be.
it could be, yes.
We're gonna suggest that it be built out as a columbarium for crypts for ashes, because there's no parking, people couldn't have religious services
Right.
there. And so it would be a very quick and I think one of the cheapest ways to start selling plots, or crypts in this case,
Yeah.
for a little, so, but I'll make that recommendation on another.
If that was to go through, would there be a backup plan just for storage?
There isn't right now. Come up with that.
he said if it was to go through, there'd be a backup plan for storage for the bodies.
Oh, at Esty and Monroe, they said they're storing people at St. Patrick's and Tioga Cemetery and Riverside Cemetery. But if we made it a columbarium,
Yeah.
I would keep the storage area and make the front for crypts, because it'll look lovely. People might pay a premium for such a nice residence for their departed. I think it's, because there's barn doors that close the storage area. So I don't think there's a conflict.
Do you know, do you have like a particular date in mind that you'd like to do whatever this event will be?
Yeah.
Oh, October 7th.
Oh,
It's,
sorry.
it's a Sunday, and so that's why Warden Van Scoy and Amazing, just go for it.
So I thank you for doing this and looking into it, and I appreciate all the information. I just have one little question. Again, liability issues when you show up on that day. That's my only question. I'm all for it. I think it's great. That's just me being me.
You know, ordinarily, if somebody is making an application to use a thing in the village, then either, you know, it's a pavilion in the park, in which case it's probably not a big deal. But other times, I think we have an application that they have to fill out, and in some cases show like proof of liability insurance or something that names the village on an additional insured basis. You know, at a minimum, I would think that this, at least an insurance policy showing some liability coverage for an event like this, the village would want. I mean, I think that, you know, it's a great idea, obviously. We've got a little bit of time between now and October. I mean, I think if the board's generally in favor of this, but maybe wants to see an insurance policy or something.
That ain't gonna happen.
I know you
know,
can.
Well, we can get something.
Oh,
No,
okay.
event insurance is very expensive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But that's why I wanted to rope off the area, so there weren't, because a tree hit the back wall, so there's a broken area on the
Well,
corner.
and that actually brings up the second thing I wanted to ask Jeff, and one thing that we'll have to check with our insurance carrier, should we even be allowing people in there? I mean, just in general, if we're keeping bodies somewhere in that building, building, or if the structure is otherwise, if there's a tree hitting the back wall somewhere, I'm
Well-
so concerned about people getting in it.
I don't think the structure is being compromised. But that's, you know, just with an eye towards, you know, safety, that's why we proposed roping off and just letting people take a peek. But I'll talk to Phoebe about the insurance, and Fran about the insurance.
Yeah, that's more.
That's where I was going. I think this is awesome. I just am worried about you, worried about everybody walking the street.
It is a
That's all.
scary, it's,
That's all.
yeah, people,
Oh, is it a regular?
Yeah, coming around that corner, it's just.
I don't know, Nathan, that's my only, I mean, personally, this is great, this is awesome. I'm just worried about the liability.
I think if you talk with the woman sitting behind you maybe about getting a limited event policy, I know I'm getting married in a couple of months and we had to get one for where we're doing it. My fiance was like, $2 million policy, only $150. It's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
So,
And I'm glad to use this. Don, there it is.
Thank you.
thank you.
So if the board wants to, I guess, pass a motion to authorize a fundraising event as proposed by the Friends of Evergreen Cemetery on that day at that time, for that purpose, subject to perhaps the submission of a insurance policy satisfactory to, you know, the village's insurance consultation. I think that'd be probably good enough at this point.
Do you have a second for that motion?
I'll say.
Movers? Okay. Ken?
Yes.
Ken?
Sorry.
Yes. And yes.
Trying to make motions for 20 years.
All right. Moving right on. Our next item is, someone take her name off there, but OHPAC. Nadine, you want to say anything about this?
Why don't you start and then I'll.
Okay.